All right, good afternoon. I'm going to call to order this special called meeting of the mayor and council for November the 30th. It is 3 p.m. I am going to ask for a motion to amend the agenda by removing the executive session and then a motion to adopt that amended agenda.
So moved. Should take it out.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to remove the executive session from the agenda and then to adopt the agenda, and a second for Mr. Young. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. So we have an adopted agenda. I have on here a section for public comments. Is there anybody here who wishes to give public comment? All right, seeing none, I'll close. Who? Tom, would you like to speak in public comments? Okay, you get 1 minute. All right. So, all right, let's move on to governing body. Item A1 is the opioid litigation settlement agreement resolution. Is there any discussion or is there a motion on this item? I'm moving too fast for y'all. Who has the cover sheet?
I have it.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Carter.
I move to adopt the resolution to be bound by the MOU between the state of Georgia and certain local government entities, and to authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents required to participate in the national distribution or distributor and J&J settlements.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, I'll call for the yeas. Raise your hand. The noes.
No, I'm not a no.
Let's all pause for Ms. Marchman. All right, it's unanimous, so we will adopt that resolution for the settlement agreement on the opioid litigation. Okay, the only other item remaining on the agenda is the redistricting proposal that came in from the state. This is a discussion-only item. No action will be taken here today. Do we have that map that we can put up, Teresa? So while she's doing that, is there anyone here, any council members that would like to discuss this map as the state presented to us?
It's too small.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. We're not going to take any action here, so I don't know how much discussion is even warranted, but we will take a closer look at this in the next coming weeks. But we wanted to make sure we got it out so everybody could take a look at it. Each of you have already said something to me about, you know, your concerns. So, but we're in this session. We put it on here so that we could formally bring it before the council if you want to have any discussion about it. Mr. Young.
I think we should acknowledge that in the next 2 years, there's going to be substantial growth in Ward 4 and in the Jeff Fuqua Arbor Valley homes area in Ward 1. So we should realize that we may have to redo this in 2 years.
Yeah, I think that is, that almost goes without saying. Ms. McPherson?
Okay, and I agree, because it could change so massively, and I remember last time we did it, you know, a decade ago or whatever, at that time, Ward 4 had, I don't know, about 2/3 of the city or something, right? Mirror Lake had come in, there'd been that massive, and so it was totally out of balance on the council. How does this fit with the deadline with, in other words, okay, so we're just discussing it, we're not making any decisions, but how does that fit with the deadline from Senator Dugan?
So I had hoped that David would be here. I've tasked him with getting me that answer. So here's what he has said so far. He's not here. So what he said so far is that we have some flexibility on our time because we don't have an election until 2023. That doesn't mean we're going to put this off that long. We need to get to it. But I don't think, he doesn't believe that we're bound by that deadline from Dugan's office because we don't have an election. If it turns out that we need to meet that deadline, we may either call a special called meeting to go ahead and accept this ward map, or we may do it in December. If if it is time sensitive. However, what we should keep in mind is that we are always privy to being able to redraw our districts at any time. So once that Fuquay stuff comes in or any of these modifications occur, we can initiate our own changes for the district map.
Okay, and then my only question tied in with that would be, at this point, it's staff at the state level that does this for you. You can, have some input or whatever, just like, I guess, what we're doing right now about, oh, well, I got a real problem with this line or that line or whatever. But will that be available to us, or do we have to hire our own consultant and do
Now,
it on our
my
own?
understanding, and again, David, I guess he's just not going to make it, but my understanding from David, who's got many years of experience doing this, is that staff is always in place at the Capitol.
And
to do this.
available to
And
us,
available.
even if we're doing it in between times.
That's right, because this is not unusual that this occurs from cities around the state.
Okay. Well, I
So-
feel better about that option because that's not what occurred. I'm not saying it should have, but by the time it got done, it was so out of balance. And so I'm relieved by the fact that we can adjust it if we have massive growth more in one area.
Right. And one of the concerns when we first thought that we were bound to that deadline, we started marking on the map what we thought, it might need to look like. We don't know what the populations are. So we have to submit it back to them so that they can draw it the way we've asked them to and then say, do the populations work? So we don't have that kind of that deep data. So, all right, is there anybody else who would like to comment on this? All right, if there is not, Tom, do you want to say anything about either of these two items? Okay, that's good. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor?
Does that have a discussion?
Would you like to discuss it?
In the end, I would like us to have a map that we actually can tell what the streets are on it. Now, this is better than online. You know what I'm saying?
Right, you
It's
have-
really hard to give input when the names of the streets are off to the side and it goes to some street somewhere, and then a bunch of others really aren't named. And it just would be nice to know. And part of it's just out of curiosity, like, oh, okay, well, I'll lose that constituent and that constituent, and I'll lose these people. Oh, but look, I'll have these people over here, whatever. It's just kind of nice to know where the lines really are.
Yeah, and just to be clear, this is the version that we received from the state, so we don't have a finer, detailed version. All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? All right, it's unanimous. We're adjourned.